the legal landscape, aired at this time every Tuesday morning here on Top of the Morning on The Edge, 105 FM. We're into season 2, and I've been telling you all morning that we have an interesting topic for discussion this morning, which is the importance of estate planning in uncertain times. The fact is, the COVID-19 pandemic has transformed how we plan for the immediate future. Proper estate planning covers more than just drafting your last will and testament. Truth is, it is essential that you also consider formalizing a comprehensive estate plan that will protect you and your loved ones, as well as your assets after your death. Well, all of that will be discussed this morning as we're joined by Mrs. Helen Evelyn, a partner at DunnCox Attorneys at Law, as our very special guest and very knowledgeable guest with a significant amount of experience and expertise in handling real estate, conveyancing transactions, and mortgage financing. We say hello to Helen. Good morning, Mrs. Evelyn. How are you?
Thank you, Richie. Good morning.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us at this early hour. Hope that all is well so far with this new day.
Everything is good.
Wonderful.
How are you?
I'm doing well too, and we're happy to have you. I think the best way to start this morning, Helen, is to ask you to tell us, what is estate planning and why is it necessary?
Well, Richie, how I would explain it is that estate planning is a process of planning for the orderly and efficient transfer of your assets, particularly after your death, to specific individuals. Simply put, it's really taking steps to put your affairs in order. Mm-hmm. In this way, you are in control of how your estate is managed. You get to decide the persons who can benefit from your assets, the extent of their entitlements, who your representatives will be, and other important issues. You remain in control.
Mm-hmm. Now, it seems to be much more than just, as we mentioned earlier, drafting one's last will and testament. I'm asking now, what happens if no estate planning is done?
Well, if nothing is done, basically what happens is that you really lose control over what happens to your estate after your death. In this scenario, the law will step in and dictate, basically stipulate how your assets are transferred, who gets what, and in what shares. Mm-hmm. When you don't leave a will or a will that is valid, you die intestate. Let me give you a quick example.
Yes, go ahead.
Let's say John, he's a wealthy businessman. He owns a lot of assets. He has been very successful. He's married, but he has been separated from his wife for several years. In fact, she's the one who left him. She abandoned him maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago, mm-hmm. and she has migrated to the U.S. John has thought about making a will and sorting out his affairs.
Yes.
But he just has been in a hurry. He has put it off, and he's now decided that he probably needs to do it because he has found someone else. They are living together. They have been living together for maybe 6 years. Mm-hmm. And he loves her very much, and he wants to make sure she's well taken care of. So that change in his relationship status is prompting him to start thinking about making a will and sorting out his affairs. But he tends to procrastinate, and it doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. John dies suddenly. Has a heart attack, and without a plan, who do you think will inherit his estate? Will his wife get his assets, or will his girlfriend of 6 years get his assets? The answer to that, Richie, is that in fact his wife, from whom he's estranged, with whom he doesn't have a particularly good relationship, will inherit everything. So, having said that, I would suggest that estate planning needs to be done, needs to be thought about. because your assets to be distributed in accordance with your written wishes.
Mm-hmm.
You get to dictate, and there's absolute certainty as to how things will be distributed. So that's the scenario in terms of what can happen. Things can develop and consequences can flow from not putting a plan in place.
Well, I think that was an excellent example, and it makes it so very clear why it is so important to do some estate planning. Because in the example that you shared with us, that wife is not likely to hand over those assets to the girlfriend.
Oh no! As soon as he dies, she'll step in.
She'll step in and take over. So it is very, very important. By the way, if you have a question on the subject that we're discussing with Mrs. Helen Evelyn, you can call us on 876-906-9559, 876-906-9557. If you want to send us a question, maybe, to our WhatsApp number, it would be 876-383-1166. We're looking at the subject of the importance of estate planning in uncertain times. My next question for you, Helen, similar to a pension plan, would you say that early estate planning should be encouraged, for example, among millennials, or should they wait until near retirement age to put something in place?
Richard, my answer to that is don't wait. Once you're 18 years and older, once you own some property, and you'd like your children or other dependents, family members, friends, even your church, to be a beneficiary of your assets, you should start thinking about an estate plan.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, though, I have found that people have a bit of a fear because they think that once they make a will, they are signing their death warrant. They don't want to think about those things. And the other thing I've discovered is that some people think that only the wealthy should make a will, people who own a lot of assets.
Mm-hmm.
But in fact, that's not true. Most persons, I would say, acquire some property in their lifetime. Even a bank account is an asset.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate, land, property, shares, life insurance, all these things are assets. And the other thing we know is that we all must die. So,
yes.
Added to that, we are living in very uncertain times, very challenging times, and I think with more time on our hands, we should take the time to start thinking seriously about these things.
As you mentioned, the whole matter of the unprecedented times in which we're living, it brings me to my next question. What of a situation where persons, say, might have written or drafted an estate plan many years ago, not thinking that they would encounter or even be affected by a pandemic as we're experiencing right now? In this scenario, what are some of the documents that persons might need to update going forward to making an estate plan?
There are a couple of them, Richie. I'm going to mention a few. It's not really an exhaustive list, but just to give a few examples. As you said before, your will. It's good to update it, good to review it. For example, your executors may have died. Some of your beneficiaries may have died. Some of your assets may have been sold. So it's good to review because then your wishes are updated, so to speak. They remain current. You also have a power of attorney, which is an authorization to someone during a lifetime, and it can be useful in some circumstances. So you may want to consider that. Thirdly, life insurance. You should consider either getting a policy to cover expenses that will incur after your death,
mm-hmm.
related to your funeral, related to your estate, for basing your will and so on. So you either take out a policy as long as you're able to, or you increase the coverage. You may want to change the beneficiaries, things like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All of those are important steps to take.
Yes.
While we're in the land of the living.
That's true.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking at the clock, and Mrs. Evelyn, we're pretty much out of time, but we do have enough time to ask you in closing to give us your hashtag, Did You Know? What do you have for us?
Well, my Did You Know is pretty obvious. And it's a question I want your listeners to think about. Did you know that without estate planning, your assets can be distributed to persons who you may not want to be the beneficiaries of your estate? Did you know that?
Did you know that? Well, they found out the answers if they listened to the program as they did. And it is always recommended, would you say, that an attorney be consulted in these matters?
Yes, definitely.
All
A
right.
lot of persons are not sure what they want to do, how they want to do it, and legal advice from a professional is always recommended.
And we thank you for providing some to us this morning free of charge. I thank you so much, Helen Evelyn. And we look forward to having you another time on the program. Have a good day and take good care.
Thank you, Richie.
All right.
Have a good day soon.
Thank you so much. Wow, she really packed a lot in the time allotted, didn't she? That was a chat with Mrs. Helen Evelyn, a partner at DunnCox, attorneys at law, who shares space with us, so to speak, at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday morning here on Top of the Morning on the Edge in the feature, The Legal Landscape. We're inside of season 2, and we know that you've been finding it interesting. See messages coming in just saying, hey, we're enjoying the program. Wow, Latoya. Latoya, you sent uh-oh. You see, what you should have done, Latoya, I know that you're a decent woman and you want to greet us well and so on. So she goes, top of the morning, Richie. And by the time Latoya typed her message thereafter, the feature done. She was actually... I know you want to do the decent thing, but, because time is of the essence, what you might have done, Latoya, is just to say, do you need a lawyer to draft a will? That's the question she was asking. And she says, by the time she typed top of the morning, Richie, a question for the attorney. Those are 2 separate messages. And then the third was, do you need a lawyer to draft a will? Well, the feature done. Anyhow, I think it's advisable that you consult with an attorney at law on matters like these, all right? 12 and a half now past the hour of 8 o'clock. We go until 10. It is Top of the Morning here on The Edge.